Hey, today we're hanging out with Annette and Katie McCree as we talk about being creative in your ministry. And stay tuned to the very end as we have predictions for next year's hottest television show. This is episode 24, the season finale. Well, hey, everybody, we are back again this week with the Sustainable Ministry Show. I am Bryant Johnson, Director of Youth Ministries at Harrison United Methodist Church, and hanging out with Katie McCree and Annette Staffstrom. And Annette, you're in Texas. Will you tell us a little bit about what you do, and tell us about your most recent concert you went to?
Okay.
I think that was last night.
It was last night. Yeah, I live in McKinney, Texas, and I work with Ministry Architects. I've been doing this about 4.5 years and just working with churches around the country, trying to help them build sustainability into their children's and youth ministries. And my most recent concert, I went to Duran Duran last night, and it was super fun. It was a whole bunch of middle-aged people trying to recapture their youth, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, what would you say is the most embarrassing concert you've been to?
Most embarrassing concert?
Yeah. Which one, which band would you not want to share with other people? And will you share that now?
I don't know if I have one. No, I don't have one because I'm not a huge concert goer, so I don't have something that I'm embarrassed that I went to.
What was your first one?
No? First one might have been, God, maybe it was U2.
Yeah? Oh, Joshua Tree?
Yeah, I would do that again, too.
I would love to see them.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Katie?
Yes. Hi. You want me to talk about concerts? I'm Katie. I am a youth minister in the Atlanta area, Roswell, suburb of Atlanta, St. David's Episcopal, and I also work with Ministry Architects. So, I'm into all things youth. And I don't know what you want to know about my concert history.
Tell us 2 or 3 shows you've seen.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with one of the questions you had for Annette, which was, what is your first one you went to? And the first one that I know, I chose to go to and wasn't just taken by my parents or something. This is pretty awesome. Mighty Mighty Bosstones, remember them? Yes, that was my first concert. I was really cool. And this is I have the worst memory ever. We go to concerts sometimes, but I can't remember. It's just really bad. The last one I can remember was like an impersonator, like a Michael Jackson impersonator. And it was amazing. I mean, it was ridiculous, but totally amazing. And we've been to I'm a big Ben Harper fan. So we've been to a bunch of Ben Harper concerts and, but yeah, the last one I can remember going to was a Michael Jackson impersonator, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. I felt like I was really watching him.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
When you saw the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, was that when they first started, kind of late 80s, early 90s, or Mean Girls when they made a return?
It was well, just so you know, I was into Mighty Mighty Bosstones before. I think you're thinking of Clueless, not Mean Girls.
Clueless. Yeah, that's it.
Clueless. They had a song on that movie, but I liked them before that. But I saw them after that. I was still kind of young. Brian, I don't know how old you think I am, but I was not going to concerts in the 80s.
Nice dig, Katie. Bye.
Well, I would have loved to see the Bosstones.
I probably saw them in 96-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, I'm Bryant Johnson, as I said a minute ago, and I think my first concert, it was either, I mentioned this to you earlier, it was either Bobby Brown or Poison. Both of those I went to as a birthday party with a friend.
Oh my God.
The worst concert I've seen, and this is this is not meant as a dig to anyone, but was Counting Crows. I loved Counting Crows, and saw them in concert, and it was the saddest, most depressing hour and a half. Most no one sang, no one jumped up and down, everybody was in tears. It just was it was horrible. It was nothing I wanted in a concert, So we're going to talk about creativity a little bit today, and Annette and Katie, I think, are two of the most creative folks that I know. Um, and so I wonder, like, what role does creativity play in ministry and play in the church?
I think creativity is huge. I'm going to jump right in and go a little bit deep, but God as the creator puts that in all of us. And I think it's literally a form of worship. And when we put our creativity into an event or a worship service or a program, I think it's still a form of worship. And so, without any creativity, nobody wants to come anyways. Nobody wants to sit in a lecture. They want to do something fun. They want there to be some fun, creative element to it. And that's kind of how we draw people.
I think I might have been last in line when when God was handing out creative skills.
I want to kind of play on what Annette is saying, and that I feel like our culture is one that we want to be comfortable, and we just kind of want to keep things from stirring the pot a whole lot. And I've been really excited about this word adventure, which I think goes hand in hand with creativity. And I know my husband is tired of me talking about we got to go on an adventure, but I don't think that God wants us to always just kind of be going down our checklist and staying in a comfortable place, but he wants us to go on an adventure. Our God is an adventurous God. And so when we kind of integrate that adventure and that creativity into our time with our children and our youth, it's reminding them that God invited us to be part of a really awesome adventure with him.
So how do you how are you intentional about that? How do you go about making sure that that then is a part of your ministry and a part of the things that you do? Is it are you looking for every opportunity to throw some creative element into the things that you're doing, or how does that play out?
Honestly, I kind of do. I feel like if we're gathering together, that I kind of want my kids to experience a feeling that maybe they normally try to stay away from. Can I maybe make them a little angry? If I can make my kids a little angry with me, I feel like I'm really on to something, pushing them outside of their comfort zone. And I feel like if I'm getting us together as a group, and we're spending our time in a way that would look no different than if they were spending that time with their family or their friends, then maybe I've missed an opportunity. And for me, one of the just markers to make sure that I'm checking in on, even if I'm writing a lesson, and also with our bigger things, I always ask myself, what senses are we hitting on? So, can we taste something in a lesson? Can we listen to something or feel something on our skin? And it's just another way to kind of encounter God, as opposed to just conversation. So.
And I think having a theme is a really great way to integrate creativity, because you can put too much into something. If you have, when you're writing a document or you're putting something together, you don't want to have any more than 2 or 3 fonts on your page. You don't want to have 4 or 5 themes or creative elements, or you want to keep your creativity to a theme, and then it kind of gives boundaries around what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. You're not going to have a circus theme and then suddenly go under the sea, in the same event or whatever. So that, having some boundaries around your creativity is a good thing.
Yeah.
So this is like a little moment of confession, but I had probably the highlight of my creativity in my life was this moment where we were talking about shape and how our kids were designed and created by God and what they were gifted to do, and went through this series. And in that, we had stamped out shapes of construction paper, and the kids wrote their names on it, and then how they were gifted as we went along, what they were learning about themselves. And we put those on a bulletin board. And this was this was the extent of my creativity and creative ability. So when people are trying to be creative, is there some process? Just a couple weeks ago on the show, I interviewed a guy named Nathan Beam, who's a musician, and And one of the things he talked about was the discipline of creativity. Like when he creates new music or hears a new song in his head, it's a disciplined process. So if like, how do you guys go about that? Is there some way that you create, or you find like this is how I make it creative and exciting and all that stuff? I don't even have the language for creativity.
um, Annette, I don't know if you want to take that one first, but it's funny to me, Bryant, that you would talk about discipline and that he uses discipline in creating it. Because when I'm at least starting on a creative journey, like discipline is not part of it. It's get everything. Like, say yes to everything, even if it sounds absolutely insane. I still like, whether I'm brainstorming with a friend or I'm just kind of getting things out of my head, I get it all out, and then I narrow down from there. Just like, for example, this was at the beginning of the school year. We had a theme night that was based off of the Jurassic Park movie. And so we do like just these ridiculous games that are based off of the movie. And there's one part in the movie where they're chasing a pig. Honestly, I can't even remember why that happened. But I was like, I think like one of my older kids was like, we should have a pig and like catch a pig. And you know, I wrote it down. I don't have a pig and I never found a pig. But we did dress a dog up as a pig, and that worked just fine. You know? So, like, if you really want to make it happen, then you can make it happen. So, like, I'm the opposite of discipline when I'm doing the creative part. But what Annette had said earlier is also, you know, really important. Is that if you're going to have a theme, then stick with the theme, and you know, it'll work if you commit to just one or two rules. So,
Right, totally. Well, and I think like I'm like Katie, like when I'm starting something, I'm like nothing is off limits. But then like I know you say you're not as creative of a person, but then it takes someone with your type of personality to make it happen. And so it's the make it happen people that are like, oh, we can do this part, but I don't think we're going to be able to do this part. But if we never put it all out there and said, okay, we want to have a pig, and then bring it to our how-to people who don't think they're creative, but they're actually the ones making the creativity happen. You know, Katie and I can come up with all kinds of ideas, but we can't always come up with the steps to get from where we are to where we're going. But then, you know, we need someone like you, Brian, in the middle that can be like, okay, if we're going to do that, we need to A, B, C, D, and who's going to do that? So it takes all kinds of personalities and all kinds of thinking styles to make creative things come to life. So
I'm curious then, because we use like the language of being an architect, a contractor, a laborer. I am definitely a contractor. Yeah. Right? Like that is where I lie just naturally. Would you guys say you're architects?
Yeah, I think so. But I think in different situations, we can be different. I mean, and I think Katie would totally agree. And, you know, yeah, we can, once we know the plan, we can be the contractor if we have to be. Yeah. You know, or we can be the laborer if we have to be. But yeah, I think I would stay in the architect's place a whole lot more naturally. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I agree with Annette. Like I can do both, but I think specifically with the architect part of that, I have a tendency to kind of think way outside of the box, and it's almost like I have to talk to someone else and they have to help me rein it in a little bit. And that, you know, so that part of it, until I say it to someone else, it's like, it's not real. It's just me daydreaming. Yeah.
And do you guys know, like, go ahead.
Something we know. Oh, sorry. No. I think that's something we know about ourselves, that Katie and I know, that somebody has to rein us in. And you know, we can't get married to an idea before we think about how it's going to happen. You know, sometimes we get these great ideas and it's really hard to let go of them. And I think that's just a part of growing and changing and realizing that we can make some things happen, but we can't make them all happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, that's so interesting to me, because on the flip side, it does, like, I can come up with an idea to make something fun or exciting, but it takes a lot of work and it takes me a lot of time to really kind of process through and to get out of, well, that's not step one, or, you know, like, that's not naturally going to happen. I'm curious too. Do you guys know like what your Enneagram score is, or your Myers Briggs, or any of that sort of stuff? I'm just
I know
curious.
my Myers-Briggs.
Yeah,
Do
what
you
is
know
it?
yours, Katie?
Uh, I don't know mine. I've taken it so many times, but I can't remember. Like I said, my memory is terrible. My memory is terrible. I have no idea. No idea. So
What's yours,
embarrassing.
Annette?
Mine's mine's an ENFP, and I'm gonna guess because she has no idea that hers might be the same.
Okay, so you're ENFP. I am INTJ.
Yeah,
Almost
totally.
exactly opposite. Almost exactly
Yeah,
opposite. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh God.
Um, so Katie, will you talk through like I think it was last summer you guys did this kind of adventure summer trip? Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
how did that come about for you guys?
Well, okay, so we've been doing them for a couple of years out. Well, we've been doing them since I've been at my church, and we do it every couple of years.
Uh-huh.
It's a trip based off the show The Amazing Race. And this is the part where it's really important that I'm able to be an architect and a contractor because it is a logistical nightmare. But basically, this one was 4 days long, and the kids sign up for a trip and they put things in their bag that I've told them to put in their bag, but they have no idea what they're doing. And we go to other states. I mean, and we stay in places that they don't know where they're staying. And my promise to them is that I'll keep them safe, sort of. No one's going to get seriously injured. And that they'll have some more sleep and they'll get 3 meals a day. So yeah, safety and 3 meals a day. That is my promise to them. And like, we go on these trips and they show up and they have to like compete in adventures to get their next set of clues that takes them to their next location. And there's just, it's another one of those things that like just the not knowing. I think kids have so few opportunities anymore to not be scheduled and to not know what's coming next. And it's 4 days of having no idea. And it gives them a chance to trust me and trust their parents for signing them up on this trip. And just, to try things that maybe scare them a little bit. They're kind of the biggest activity we did on this last trip was that we went hang gliding. And I thought, yeah, it was crazy. And I thought for sure there would be kids that didn't do it. That they'd just say, no, we can't do it. And I don't make anyone do anything, but all of them agreed that they wanted to try it. Like their friends were doing it and they trusted that it was safe. And so, and they had already spent several days with each other being on an adventure. And so it was just kind of natural that they're like, yeah, I can do this. I can try this. And I think I probably hated it more than anyone else. I got to the ground and I put on a brave face because not all the kids had gone, but I hated it and I will never do that again. But I tried it, so now I know that hang gliding is not for me. It's not for me, not at all. Right. But there were a few kids that also made that same decision,
Yeah.
but now they know. So, but the process really is just, again, it's a logistical nightmare, but I pick out my big things that I want to do and I plan around that. So lots of time Google searching.
Yeah. So what then, I mean, we're big on sustainability ultimately. And so even the creativity that goes into our ministries, what are some things that we can do to make sure that's sustainable beyond like our personality and beyond our tenure on staff at a church?
I think having people in your team with all different kinds of gifts. Mm-hmm. I think just making sure that you've got a balanced team of people who are creative thinkers and people who are contractors and just kind of mixing those people up and honoring them for who they are and without trying to fit them into a different role. Here's my contractor type people and here are my architect type people, and just continually adding people like that to your team.
Yeah, I would agree with Annette. And I would also add that if there's something that you do well creatively, to invite someone to do it with you so that they can kind of see your process. Or if you're not great on the creative side, if you have someone on your team that is, like, ask if you can kind of hang out with them when they're doing some of their brainstorming and just kind of see how it works. Because I think probably more people have that in them than they realize. They just are not really tapped into it.
Sure.
We were designed to do certain things, like be on adventures with God. So it's just a matter of tapping into it, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and I love the idea of making sure you got the right people on the team, and making sure that they're filling that role. So like your gifted people, your creative folks are in a role where they can be creative and have the freedom to be creative in the ministry. And then the people who fall in that contractor role and can take the plan and really put it into shape, they're on a team that does that piece of the ministry. Because it seems like if folks are not in those positions, they just get frustrated with the work they've been asked to do because it's not in their skill set and not their giftedness. It's huge. Well,
I used to have an assistant, and I would be sitting there and I'd be talking about an idea, and I'd be like, "Hey, what if we did da 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 da?" And she would come into the office the next day, and she would have already reserved the bounce house, or made some calls in order. Like
I love it.
I'm brainstorming, and she is like, she was on it, and it was such a good partnership because I really didn't like doing that stuff, and she just. It was life-giving to her to see something come to life, and I just wanted to talk about it. And so it was a really great partnership.
Yeah, and that's a huge gift, I know, to you and being on staff, and then also to the ministry as a whole.
Right now.
Well, where can people keep up with you? Where can they follow up with you if they have questions about creativity or hang gliding with teenagers? How can they get in touch?
Well, the easiest way to find me is just through email. I am on Facebook a lot, so you can find me on Facebook, Katie Chalawa McCree. And I'm on other places, but those are probably the easiest places. What now, Brian?
What was that middle name?
Chalawa. It's my maiden name. Just Katie McCree. Just look for Katie McCree. But Chalawa's in there, so don't let it scare you.
This sounds a little scary.
It's fine.
And I'm Annette at ministryarchitects.com. I'm also on Facebook too, so you can find me there.
Yeah, and I'm Bryant at ministryarchitects.com or facebook.com/Bryant Johnson. And I know I just shared with you guys, this is the end of season 1. This is the final show. We did 24 episodes, and we will be back this fall and kick off just about the time school gets back in for children and youth this fall. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or YouTube, and you will have that next episode delivered right to you this fall. Thanks so much for your time today, you guys, and to our audience, thanks for hanging out with us over the last few weeks.
Oh, great.
Yes, yeah. And Katie, you're kind of like the bookend. You were on the very first episode.
I know.
And
I
now the
know.
very last one.
That's exciting.
We can have some kind of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, what would that be?
I don't know.
Brian, are you watching Better Call Saul?
I'm not.
The last one was on Monday night, and they left it hanging. I hate that.
What about Fear the Walking Dead? Are you into that? Are you watching
We're
that?
watching it, but I'm not really into it yet.
It's kind of mediocre.
We're trying.
Who do you think got shot at the end of this season?
I think it was, okay, I think we talked about this, that I can love a show and a movie and have no idea what any of the characters' names are. Is it Glenn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Glenn. Because in the comic books, it says that he's killed by someone who carries like the guy who's carrying the bat with the on it. So it has to be him.
Well, you can hear his girlfriend scream his name at the time of the gunshot.
Oh. Well, I haven't read any of the stuff online about what people are guessing, because I don't want I don't want to read that. I just want to wait. Annette, do you have any idea what we're talking about?
No, but it's okay.
Okay.
It's all good. No, if it's not a Real Housewife, I'm probably.
Oh, you got to get hip to the zombie shows.
I don't think so. I don't think I can do it.
There's a few housewives in the Walking Dead. You would like it.
Oh.
That actually sounds like a really good, that's a show I would watch. The Real Housewives of the Walking Dead.
That would
Sounds like an
Oh
excellent,
my gosh, that's an idea, Katie.
that sounds like a good show.
that would be awesome.
I would watch that.